Welcome to my channel, my dear friends. Today we will talk about how ChatGPT can change the way you learn English. I know you want to speak fluently and confidently, but maybe you feel shy, lost, or unsure. I was the same before I discovered this tool. At first, I felt English was a mountain too high to climb. I thought only native speakers or expensive teachers could help me. But then I realized ChatGPT could be my personal guide. It was like having a teacher in my pocket, always ready to help. The first secret of learning English with ChatGPT is daily practice. No matter how little time you have, even 10 minutes makes a difference. With ChatGPT, you can practice anytime, anywhere. You do not need to wait for a class or a teacher. When I began, I started with simple conversations. I typed greetings, small questions, and answers. ChatGPT always replied kindly and corrected my mistakes without making me feel bad. That safety helped me try again and again until I improved. I also used ChatGPT for role plays. I pretended to be in a restaurant, airport, or shop, and ChatGPT acted as the waiter, officer, or seller. These conversations trained me for real life. When I later faced real situations, I felt confident and ready. Grammar was another big challenge. I often made mistakes with tenses and prepositions. Instead of reading long, boring rules, I asked ChatGPT to explain them with examples. Seeing grammar in real sentences helped me understand faster than memorizing charts. Vocabulary is the fuel of language. At first, I learned random words but forgot them quickly. With ChatGPT, I asked for words in context. For example, instead of just journey, I got sentences and small stories using journey. That way, words stayed in my memory. I also asked ChatGPT to quiz me. For example, it gave me 5 sentences with blanks and I filled them in. This made learning more interactive. I was not only reading, but also practicing. Practice turned into confidence step by step. Pronunciation is tricky because ChatGPT is text-based, but I found solutions. I asked it to break words into simple sounds. I also checked phonetic spelling. Then I practiced speaking out loud while reading sentences from ChatGPT. Over time, my speech became clearer. Writing skills improved the most for me. Every day, I wrote short paragraphs and asked ChatGPT to correct them. It not only corrected, but also explained why. Slowly, my writing became smoother and more natural. Now I can write emails without fear. Reading skills grew too. I asked ChatGPT to create short stories at my level. When I read, I highlighted new words and asked for explanations. This habit expanded my vocabulary and helped me understand sentences better. Reading felt less like a chore. Listening is also important, and I use ChatGPT for this too. I copied short texts from ChatGPT and read them out loud. Then I listened to my own voice recordings. Comparing my speech with correct text helped me train my ears and improve. ChatGPT also taught me to think in English. At first, I always translated from my native language, which slowed me down, but I practiced asking and answering directly in English with ChatGPT. After weeks, my brain started to switch naturally to English. Consistency is the true key. Many people learn for 1 week and then stop. ChatGPT made it easy to stay consistent because it is always available. Even on busy days, I practiced for a few minutes. Small steps daily built big progress. Motivation grows when you see results. I started noticing I could understand more movies, songs, and articles. I could write longer messages to friends. Each small win gave me energy. ChatGPT celebrated those wins with me by encouraging me to keep going. I also discovered new methods with ChatGPT. For example, I asked it to create daily challenges, like use 5 new words today, or write a short story in the past tense. These fun tasks kept me active and curious. Learning felt like a game. ChatGPT helped me improve confidence. Before, I was afraid to speak with others because I thought they would laugh. But practicing with ChatGPT gave me courage. I realized mistakes are normal. Now I can speak without fear, even if I make errors. Another powerful way I used ChatGPT was storytelling. I asked it to create simple stories and then continued writing them myself. Together, we built fun stories that trained my grammar, vocabulary, and creativity. This exercise made English exciting and alive. One thing I learned is that ChatGPT can adapt to your level. If you are a beginner, it speaks simply. If you are advanced, it challenges you with harder words. This flexibility means anyone can learn, no matter where they start. I also use ChatGPT for exam preparation. It gave me practice questions for IELTS and TOEFL. It explained essay structures, vocabulary lists, and speaking topics. Practicing with it gave me confidence to face real exams with less stress. Culture is part of language, and ChatGPT helped me there too. I asked it about English idioms, sayings, and customs. Understanding culture made my English richer. For example, learning phrases like break the ice helped me sound more natural. ChatGPT also became my diary partner. I wrote about my day, feelings, and dreams. It corrected my writing and suggested better phrases. Over time, my diary entries became more fluent, and I saw my progress clearly. Writing a diary became my daily habit. Sometimes I felt tired or bored. At those times, I asked ChatGPT for motivation. It gave me quotes, stories, and encouragement to continue. I learned that motivation comes and goes, but discipline and support keep you moving forward. The biggest gift ChatGPT gave me was independence. I no longer waited for teachers or classes. I could learn anytime on my own. This freedom made me believe in myself more. English stopped being a subject in school and became a tool in life. Now, I want to share with you some simple steps to use ChatGPT for your English. First, set a goal. Decide if you want to focus on speaking, writing, or vocabulary. Goals give direction to your learning. Without them, you will feel lost. Second, practice daily. Do not wait for a perfect time. Even 10 minutes is enough. Open ChatGPT, write something, and learn from it. Small daily habits are more powerful than long study sessions once a week. Consistency beats intensity. Third, ask questions boldly. Do not feel shy to ask even basic questions. ChatGPT will not laugh at you. Remember, curiosity is the fastest way to grow. The more questions you ask, the more knowledge you gain. Fourth, review what you learned. After each session, write down new words or rules. Revise them later with ChatGPT. Without review, memory fades. But if you repeat, knowledge becomes permanent. Review turns learning into lasting skill. Finally, enjoy the process. English is not just a subject, it is a bridge to the world. Use ChatGPT to explore, laugh, and create. If you enjoy learning, you will never stop. Passion is the best fuel for language growth. One of the best parts of learning English with ChatGPT is freedom. You are not tied to a classroom schedule. You do not need to wait for a teacher or book. You can practice at midnight or early morning. Learning becomes flexible and personal. This freedom also removes excuses. Many people say, "I don't have time for English," but ChatGPT needs only minutes. Even if you are busy, you can open it on your phone and practice quickly. With no excuses left, progress becomes certain. I used to waste hours watching random videos without learning. Then I decided to give those hours to ChatGPT. Suddenly, my time became productive. Instead of just watching, I was practicing. Every minute invested in ChatGPT built my English skills. ChatGPT also gives instant answers. Before, I waited days for teachers to check my work. Now I get feedback in seconds. This speed makes learning faster. When you see mistakes immediately, you can correct them before they become habits. Another strength is variety. ChatGPT can explain grammar, create stories, play roles, or quiz you. Every session feels fresh. This variety keeps you interested. Boredom disappears when learning feels like a game. Curiosity keeps your mind awake. Sometimes I practiced by pretending ChatGPT was a friend. I wrote about my feelings, dreams, and problems. It listened and responded kindly. These conversations not only improved my English, but also gave me comfort. Language learning became emotional support. Mistakes used to make me feel small, but ChatGPT taught me that mistakes are gold. Each error is a lesson. When it corrected me, I didn't feel ashamed. I felt grateful because mistakes showed me where to grow. Confidence grew with practice. I also learned storytelling with ChatGPT. I asked it to start a story, and I continued writing. Then it gave me ideas to finish. Together, we built fun tales that trained my grammar, vocabulary, and creativity. This exercise made English exciting. ChatGPT also became my exam coach. I practiced essay writing, speaking topics, and reading tests. It gave me sample answers and explained structures. Practicing this way made me less nervous during real exams. Preparation turned into confidence. Listening practice is harder online, but I found a trick. I asked ChatGPT to write dialogues. I read them out loud while recording myself. Later, I listened to my recording and compared with the text. This improved both listening and speaking skills. Sometimes I wanted to learn slang or idioms. ChatGPT explained them with examples. For instance, I asked, "What does break the ice mean?" It gave me clear sentences. Later, when I heard the phrase in movies, I understood immediately. That felt powerful. Another way I used ChatGPT was translations. I wrote sentences in my native language and asked for English versions. Then I compared and learned. This showed me where my thoughts were strong and where I needed improvement. Step by step, I translated faster. ChatGPT also improved my memory. I asked it to create flashcards or quizzes. Repetition kept the words alive in my mind. Each day, I added a few new words and reviewed old ones. This method built a strong vocabulary base without stress. Confidence in speaking grew slowly but surely. At first, I spoke alone with my phone while reading ChatGPT texts. Later, I spoke with real people and I felt prepared. The practice gave me courage. ChatGPT was like a safe training ground. ChatGPT also helped me write better essays. I often struggled to organize ideas. It showed me how to write introductions, body paragraphs, and conclusions. After practicing many essays, I became faster. Now I can write clearly on almost any topic. Reading newspapers or books used to feel heavy, but I asked ChatGPT to simplify texts for me. It gave me shorter versions of articles. I read those and slowly returned to longer ones. This method trained me step by step without feeling lost. Another trick was shadowing. I asked ChatGPT to write dialogues, then I read them out loud many times. Repeating sentences improved my rhythm and flow. It was like singing a song until it became natural. Shadowing is simple but very effective. I also practiced thinking in English. I asked ChatGPT to give me random questions. I answered quickly without translating in my head. This exercise trained my brain to respond directly in English. Over time, I stopped thinking in my first language. One day, I asked ChatGPT to act like a strict teacher. It gave me tough questions and corrected me without mercy. At first, it felt hard, but it pushed me to try harder. Sometimes pressure is good because it forces growth. Another time, I asked ChatGPT to act like a friendly child. It spoke very simply and played games with me. This relaxed style also taught me. I realized language learning does not need to be serious all the time. Fun creates energy to continue. ChatGPT adapts to your mood and level. If you want simple English, it gives you simple English. If you want advanced style, it can challenge you. This flexibility is something normal teachers cannot always offer. That is why it is powerful. I also learned how to manage my mistakes. Sometimes ChatGPT corrected me and I felt sad. But then I remembered correction is kindness. Without correction, mistakes grow. With correction, skills grow. ChatGPT's gentle feedback gave me courage to accept mistakes. Another good habit I built was journaling. Every night, I wrote about my day with ChatGPT. It checked grammar and suggested better phrases. Day by day, my journal entries improved. Writing became smoother and I saw my progress clearly. Sometimes I wanted to learn English through games. ChatGPT created word puzzles, guessing games, and quizzes for me. Playing while learning made me forget the pressure. I laughed and learned at the same time. Games showed me that study can be joyful. ChatGPT also trained me to ask better questions. In the beginning, my questions were simple, like, what is this word? Later, I asked deeper ones, like, how do I sound more natural in conversation? Better questions brought better answers. Patience is important in learning. Sometimes I wanted quick results, but ChatGPT reminded me that growth takes time. I learned to enjoy the process instead of rushing. Patience gave me peace, and peace gave me strength to continue. Through ChatGPT, I also discovered English culture. I asked about traditions, customs, and daily life. Understanding culture gave meaning to words. Language is not only grammar, it is a window to people's lives. That made my learning richer and more human. ChatGPT also showed me how to stay disciplined. I asked it to create study plans. It gave me daily schedules with goals. Following a plan kept me on track. Without structure, it is easy to get lost. Discipline turned my dreams into steps. Some days I felt lazy. On those days, ChatGPT motivated me. It reminded me why I started. It gave me quotes, stories, and advice to keep moving. Laziness lost its power when I had encouragement. Motivation plus discipline became my fuel. Another thing I loved was creativity. I asked ChatGPT to help me write poems or songs in English. I was surprised at how much fun it was. Creating art in English trained both my imagination and my language skills. Creativity brought joy to learning. Over time, I noticed something beautiful. English was no longer just a subject. It became a tool for expressing myself. ChatGPT helped me tell my story, share my dreams, and connect with others. Language turned into freedom. The best part of all is independence. I do not wait for teachers anymore. I do not fear mistakes. I do not need approval. With ChatGPT, I am in control of my journey. Independence is the highest reward of learning this way. At first, I thought learning English needed expensive classes, but ChatGPT showed me that learning can be free. All I needed was curiosity and practice. With this tool, I discovered that knowledge is everywhere if you're ready to ask. One thing I realized quickly was the power of daily practice. Even if I spoke for only 10 minutes with ChatGPT, it made a difference. Small steps added up. Like drops of water filling a bucket, daily effort built my confidence slowly but surely. I also learned the power of correction. Before, I made mistakes but never knew them. ChatGPT corrected me immediately. At first, it felt uncomfortable, but later I saw it as a gift. Without correction, I could never grow. Mistakes became teachers. Another big change was my writing. I used to write short, broken sentences, but with ChatGPT, I practiced writing essays, stories, and letters. Slowly, my sentences became longer and clearer. Now, I can express complex thoughts in simple English with ease. I also enjoyed role-play practice. I asked ChatGPT to act like a waiter, a teacher, or a tourist. I responded in English, pretending it was real life. These situations trained me for the outside world. When real situations came, I was ready. Vocabulary growth became natural. I asked ChatGPT to teach me 5 new words daily. Each word came with meaning, examples, and usage. I repeated them in conversations with ChatGPT. This daily routine made new words part of my memory. Another skill I built was listening to patterns. I asked ChatGPT to explain how sentences are structured. For example, I learned how questions are formed and why certain words come first. Understanding patterns helped me predict sentences in conversations. Reading practice also became simple. I asked ChatGPT to write short stories at my level. They were interesting and easy to read. Slowly, I moved to harder texts. My reading improved without fear. Stories made learning feel like entertainment. Sometimes I challenged myself with speed practice. I asked ChatGPT quick questions and forced myself to answer fast. This stopped me from overthinking. Speed practice trained my brain to respond like a native speaker without translation delays. I also used ChatGPT to practice polite English. I learned how to say things kindly, how to agree, and how to disagree politely. These small details are important in real conversations. They show respect and make communication smoother. Another benefit was motivation. Some days I wanted to quit. but ChatGPT encouraged me. It reminded me that learning is a journey, not a race. Reading its advice felt like having a teacher and a friend at the same time. I also trained my pronunciation with ChatGPT. I asked it to write difficult words and phrases. Then I practiced saying them while recording myself. Later, I compared my recording with the correct version. Slowly, my speech became clearer. One exercise I loved was translation back and forth. I wrote something in my native language, translated it into English with ChatGPT, then back to my language. Comparing the versions showed me where I needed improvement. It was a smart way to learn. Sometimes I practiced storytelling by asking ChatGPT to give me the first sentence. From there, I continued writing. After finishing, ChatGPT corrected my story. This not only improved my grammar, but also made me more creative in English. Another way I used ChatGPT was for debates. I asked it to argue one side of a topic while I argued the other. These debates taught me to think quickly, defend ideas, and use persuasive language. It felt like real practice for real life. I also explored English culture with ChatGPT. I asked about holidays, traditions, and history. Learning culture gave me context for many words. For example, I finally understood jokes and idioms in movies. Culture and language are always connected. Some days I felt bored, so I asked ChatGPT to quiz me. It asked me spelling, grammar, and vocabulary questions. These quizzes kept my brain sharp. Learning became like a challenge, and I wanted to win every time. ChatGPT also taught me structure in essays. I used to write without order, but now I learn to start with an introduction, explain with examples, and finish with a conclusion. This structure made my writing more professional and easy to follow. Another trick was practicing dialogues for specific places. For example, I practiced English for airports, restaurants, and interviews. ChatGPT acted like different people, and I responded. Later, when I faced those real situations, I felt confident. I also worked on emotions in English. ChatGPT helped me practice sentences for happiness, anger, sadness, and surprise. Learning to express emotions made my conversations real. I no longer sounded robotic. English became alive with feeling. Grammar practice became less scary with ChatGPT. I asked it to explain rules in very simple words. For example, it taught me the difference between past simple and present perfect with clear examples. Finally, grammar felt easy and friendly. Another habit was reflection. After each session, I wrote down what I learned. This small habit helped me remember. Reflection turned practice into memory. Without it, I would forget quickly, but with it, my knowledge stayed strong. I also asked ChatGPT to help me prepare for speeches. I gave it a topic and it created sample speeches. I practiced delivering them. This exercise improved both my speaking and my confidence. Public speaking in English no longer felt impossible. Sometimes I wanted fun, so I asked ChatGPT to tell me jokes or riddles. Then I tried to make my own jokes in English. Humor is hard in another language, but practicing with ChatGPT made it easier. Laughing while learning was powerful. Another skill I built was note-taking. ChatGPT gave me long texts, and I practiced writing short notes about them. This trained me to understand the main idea quickly. It was useful for both exams and real-life conversations. I also used ChatGPT to learn synonyms. For example, instead of always saying good, I learned words like great, amazing, and fantastic. Using synonyms made my English richer and more colorful. ChatGPT gave me lists with examples. Another useful habit was correction requests. I wrote long paragraphs and asked ChatGPT to highlight every mistake. Seeing all errors at once showed me my weak areas. Then I practiced those areas more. Focus correction built strong foundations. I also practiced casual conversations. I asked ChatGPT to talk like a friend about movies, food, or sports. These chats felt natural. Casual practice prepared me for real talks with people outside. It was simple but very effective. Another great method was shadowing news articles. ChatGPT simplified news, and I read it aloud many times. Reading serious topics improved my vocabulary. At the same time, I stayed updated about the world while learning English. I also learned how to manage study time. ChatGPT suggested short study blocks with breaks. Following this method kept me fresh and focused. Long, boring study sessions disappeared. Learning became short, active, and fun. Sometimes I felt shy about speaking. ChatGPT helped me overcome this fear. I practiced daily conversations until speaking felt normal. Step by step, my shyness reduced. Now I can speak to strangers without fear. Confidence replaced silence. Another benefit was learning English for work. I asked ChatGPT to help me write emails, resumes, and reports. These exercises prepared me for professional life. Now I can use English at work without hesitation. It opened many opportunities for me. I also practiced storytelling from pictures. I gave ChatGPT a photo description, and it asked me to explain the scene in English. This trained my observation and description skills. It was a creative and fun way to improve fluency. Another strong exercise was paraphrasing. I asked ChatGPT to give me sentences, and I rewrote them in my own words. This improved both my vocabulary and flexibility. I learned there are many ways to say the same idea in English. Sometimes I combined English with hobbies. I asked ChatGPT to write about my favorite games, music, or sports. Learning through hobbies kept me motivated. When English connected to my interests, practice became something I wanted to do every day. Finally, I realized ChatGPT is not just a tool. It is a partner in my journey. It pushes me, corrects me, and motivates me. Learning English is not about perfection. It is about growth. With ChatGPT, I grow every single day. When I reached this stage, I understood that learning English is not a one-time task. It is a lifestyle. ChatGPT reminded me again and again that consistency beats perfection. Even short daily practice creates big results over time. I also started practicing English for travel. I asked ChatGPT to create dialogues for hotels, taxis, and shops. These conversations prepared me for real trips. When I finally traveled, I spoke with confidence because I had already practiced many times. Another important area was pronunciation drills. I asked ChatGPT for tongue twisters and difficult words. I practiced them slowly at first, then faster. These drills made my mouth flexible. Speaking English became smooth and natural after daily practice. I also worked on reading comprehension. ChatGPT gave me short texts followed by questions. I answered them in my own words. This exercise trained my brain to understand meaning, not just words. It made me a more active and smart reader. Sometimes I asked ChatGPT to challenge me with grammar puzzles. These were like small games where I had to correct mistakes or complete sentences. Learning through games made grammar fun. I stopped fearing rules and started enjoying them. Another activity was idioms and phrases. I asked ChatGPT to explain phrases like break the ice or a blessing in disguise. I practiced using them in conversations. Slowly, idioms became natural in my speech, making me sound more fluent. I also discovered the value of repetition. ChatGPT helped me repeat difficult words and sentences many times. At first it felt boring, but repetition built memory. What was hard yesterday became easy today and automatic tomorrow. Listening practice was another key. ChatGPT wrote me dialogues, then I read them aloud and recorded myself. Later, I listened carefully. This exercise trained my ears. I understood rhythm, intonation, and the natural sound of English. I also practiced professional interviews. ChatGPT acted like an interviewer asking me tough questions. I responded and improved each time. When I faced a real interview, I was calm and confident. Practice made me ready for success. Another habit was learning connectors. Words like however, therefore, and in addition helped me link sentences. ChatGPT gave me practice with connectors. They made my speech smoother and my writing clearer. They are small words with big power. I also explored creative writing with ChatGPT. Together, we made poems, songs, and dialogues. Creativity made learning enjoyable. I learned that English is not just a tool, it is also an art. Expressing myself creatively gave me confidence and joy. Sometimes I asked ChatGPT to simplify difficult articles. This way, I understood complex ideas in simple English. Step by step, I returned to the original versions. This latter method improved my reading without frustration. Progress became visible and real. I also learned the value of feedback. Every time ChatGPT corrected me, I wrote the correction down. Then I practiced it again the next day. Feedback is like a mirror. It shows your mistakes, but also shows the way to improvement. One of the best exercises was summaries. ChatGPT gave me long passages and I wrote short summaries. This trained me to focus on the main point. In life, summarizing is powerful because not every conversation gives time for long answers. I also worked on confidence phrases. ChatGPT gave me lines like, "That's a great question," or "Let me explain." Using these phrases gave me time to think. They made me sound confident and professional even when I was nervous. Another skill I practiced was storytelling about my life. I told ChatGPT about my childhood, my goals, and my daily routine. ChatGPT corrected me kindly. Talking about my own life made English personal, natural, and memorable. I also explored English accents. I asked ChatGPT to explain the differences between American, British, and Australian English. This knowledge helped me understand people from different places. It made me flexible and open as a learner. Another activity was letter writing. I wrote formal letters and friendly letters with ChatGPT's help. These exercises improved my style. Formal letters taught me politeness. Friendly letters taught me warmth. Both are important in real life. I also used ChatGPT to practice thinking in English. I asked it to give me quick prompts like describe the sky or talk about your breakfast. Thinking directly in English reduced translation. My mind became faster and sharper. One method I enjoyed was error analysis. I asked ChatGPT to give me wrong sentences and I corrected them. This made me feel like a teacher. Teaching English back to ChatGPT gave me double learning, both correction and confidence. I also built listening to detail skills. ChatGPT gave me short dialogues with numbers, dates, or names. I practiced remembering and repeating them. This trained me for real-life details like phone numbers or meeting times. Attention improved my accuracy. Another helpful tool was daily journaling. I wrote a small diary in English and asked ChatGPT to check it. Journaling connected language with my emotions and daily life. It made English part of me, not just a subject to study. I also asked ChatGPT to give me tests every week. These tests measured my progress. Sometimes I scored well, sometimes not, but both results motivated me. Tests showed me clearly where I was strong and where I needed more work. Another powerful technique was visualization. I imagined myself speaking English fluently in future situations. ChatGPT created those scenarios for me. Practicing them in my imagination and with ChatGPT gave me double preparation. Dreams became practice grounds. I also trained myself with questions. ChatGPT asked me why, how, and what if questions. These questions made me think deeply in English. Deeper thinking built not only fluency, but also critical thinking. English became a tool for ideas. Sometimes I just had fun. I asked ChatGPT to create stories with me as the hero. These adventures kept me motivated. Fun is important in learning. When you enjoy practice, you never quit. Joy keeps the journey alive. I also improved my focus with ChatGPT's help. Long texts used to distract me, but ChatGPT taught me to break them into smaller parts. Small parts were easy to handle. Step by step, I built stamina for longer reading. Another key point was patience. ChatGPT reminded me that no one becomes fluent overnight. Progress is slow but steady. The important thing is to continue. With patience, mistakes turn into lessons, and lessons turn into fluency. Finally, I understood that ChatGPT is not magic. It is a tool, but the effort must come from me. Discipline, consistency, and curiosity are my real teachers. With these, ChatGPT becomes a powerful partner in my English journey. Thanks for watching. Follow for more.